Dear students, welcome you all to Shirdi Sai Junior College English classes. Today's lesson is for class 12 students from State Board Academy. The lesson name is The Secret of Work. Here, The Secret of Work is an account of the nature of work, which was written by Swami Vivekananda. Before I start this lesson, let me tell you some important points about Swami Vivekananda. He was born on 12th January 1863 in a middle class family. His actual name was Narendranath Datta and his father Vishwanath Datta was an attorney of Kolkata High Court. His mother name was Bhuvaneshwari Devi. He was called Postal Genius of India, which means one who has the variety of exceptional abilities and qualities is called the versatile genius. His personality and his talent and the abilities and the qualities which are there in him were influenced by his parents. He completed his school education at Metropolitan Institution in Kolkata. He obtained his graduation from the Presidency College. He has a great desire to see God face to face. In the year 1881, he became a great disciple of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and he received enlightenment, and also he was named as Swami Vivekananda. Later, he became a great spiritual leader and he became a great social reformer. And also, he tried to combine the Indian spiritualities with the Western material progress. He dedicated his entire life to eliminate child marriages and also illiteracy from a country. He was determined to spread the education among group of women and as well as the lower castes. In the year 1893, he went to Chicago as a spokesman for Hinduism at the World's Parliament of Religion. There he has delivered an excellent speech and attracted everybody across the world. Swami Vivekananda emphasizes the secret of work, and at the same time, he also tells us the things that guide the conduct of human beings. And third one, he says, the direct method of curing the miseries of the world. He knows very clearly that the miseries are prevalent in the world and people are unable to come out of the miseries. It is all happened because of their nature. So what he says here, unless a man's nature is changed, none of the miseries will be cured and taken off. According to Swami Vivekananda, there is a solution. So a solution has been given to cure these miseries. That is nothing but making mankind pure. Mankind in the sense, everybody should have a purity in their thoughts, in their actions. So if the people get purity in their thoughts and actions, definitely the miseries which are prevailed can be cured. People whosoever are there, they must have light in them. Here the light is nothing but the spirituality. Spiritual qualities must be there in them. Okay, ethics, values must be there in them. And those all people must be pure in terms of their hearts. And they must be well educated. As we already discussed regarding the education. Okay, education is nothing but the learnings which are learned must be guided by the proper way of experience. Okay, such kind of education is highly required to everybody. Until the man's nature and the character is changed, all the miseries are continued. All the miseries which are there still be existed. That's what he says here. Though we convert each and every house into a charity asylum, a charity shelter, though we convert each and every house into charity asylum, a great hospitals, none of the miseries will be cured. When the man's nature and the character is changed, then only all the miseries which are prevailed are cured. So let me go to the second paragraph. From here, we read in the Bhagavad Gita again and again that we must all work incessantly. According to Swami Vivekananda, what do the people read from Bhagavad Gita? Work incessantly. Do work without expecting any result. That's what. Work incessantly. Work continuously, constantly. There cannot be any work without good, without bad. Okay? He means to say each and every work, whatever that we do upon the earth, is composed of both bad and good. None of the good work is being done without little bad at least. None of the bad work is being done without good at least. So definitely, though you try to do a great work and good work, but definitely there can be some bad in it. That is what actually has been said by Swami Vivekananda. Yet we are commanded to work incessantly. Good and evil will both have their results. Still, all the people are asked, commanded to work incessantly, constantly, continuously. Finally, what he says here, both good and bad. Both of these are boundaries of the soul. Both of these are not at all be recommended. That is what actually has been said by Swami Vivekananda. What Swami Vivekananda says here, there is a solution given in the Bhagavad Gita regarding the cramping influence of work that we are actually speaking about. The work whichever has been restricted, which is with the good and which is with the bad. Both of these are boundaries of the soul. That's what actually he says. If we do not attach ourselves to any kind of work, there won't be any problem at all. None of the good and bad will never come under bondages. Because we are not doing any good, we are not doing any kind of bad. What Swami Vivekananda says here, work must be done incessantly, but there shouldn't be any attachment to that work. That is what actually he suggests us. Taking a point from Bhagavad Gita, he tells us, do work incessantly, but not to have any kind of attachment with that work. Here, having an attachment with the work is nothing but expecting results for the work. Don't expect any kind of result for the work which is being done by you. So, whatever the work which is being done by you, that work shouldn't expect any kind of results, so that there won't be any problem at all. That is what actually has been said by Swami Vivekananda. Let me continue reading from here. Samskara can be translated very nearly by inherent tendency. Using the simile of a lake for the mind, every ripple, every wave that rises in the mind, when it subsides, doesn't die out entirely, but leaves a mark and a future possibility of that wave coming out again. This mark with the possibility of the wave reappearing is what is called samskara. What he says, good thoughts that we get continuously and the nature that we have develop a samskara in us. So samskara is developed in everybody by having good thoughts and as well as good natures. So these two are very important. That is what actually has been said by Swami Vivekananda. And here, in order to let us to understand this very clearly, he used a simile. Simile is nothing but a figure of speech. Two objects or two people are compared with the like. So here, human mind is compared with the lake. So this comparison was done by using like. He says that, however, ripples are possible in a lake in such a way, continuous thoughts are possible in a mind. However, a ripple makes to have some more ripples in such a way, a good thought causes some more good thoughts in a mind. And the possibility of getting these good thoughts continuously is what is called samskara. That's what actually he says here. And if you don't have good thoughts, if you don't have good nature, do you think that samskara is developed in you? Definitely not. So whosoever will get good thoughts, whosoever will have a good nature, they only can develop samskara in them. We can see many people upon the earth without having samskara. Samskara heenulu, we may say. They are with the kind of attitudes. They always give importance to money and some other aspects. But that shouldn't be happened. Okay? Everybody should develop a samskara in them. That is only possible with the good thoughts and good natures. That is what actually he says here. Is what is called samskara. Every work that we do, every movement of the body, every thought that we think leaves such an impression on the mind stuff. So, whatever the work that we do and whatever the thought that we think and have and whatever the movement that we have, everything leaves a kind of impressions on our mind stuff. Okay, so they create kind of influence and effect on our mind stuff. Finally, all of these impressions create, kind of effect and influence on our subconscious mind. These people are ready to die, but they cannot do anything against their samskara. Actually, see, if you try to observe yourself, how you behave when no one is there with you, if you are alone, okay, and what kind of thoughts that you are getting, everything that is there in you that makes you to move forward is happened because of the samskara which is developed in you. That's what actually he says here. What I am just at this moment is the effect of sum total of all the impressions of my past life. Whatever the work is being done by me, all of these works are done with the effect of the past things that happened in my life and impressions that I got to my mind stuff. Because of the influences and effects of these only, I do actions. I behave myself in the society. I move forward. And this character is determined by some total of impressions that are actually done by you, by the people previously. So here he speaks about the bad actions, bad words, bad thoughts. A man is continuously able to hear bad words. And these bad words that a man hears from others may make them to think badly, behave badly in the society. If one hears bad from someone, that bad, whichever comes to the mind stuff, will create some influence. His mind is completely filled with the bad impressions and he's getting bad thoughts, he's doing bad actions. So finally, his mind is completely filled with the bad impressions. And these kind of people are highly influenced by such kind of bad thoughts, and these people will do bad things unconsciously. Without having any conscience, these people do bad works. These people cause harm to the people. These people can do worse things in the society. Such kind of thoughts and impressions are completely avoided. In fact, these bad impressions are always working and the resultant must be evil. And that man will be a bad man. Yeah. When a man will be a bad man, the man is doing always the bad actions. Okay, because of getting bad impressions to his mind stuff, he is behaving in such a way. Okay, obviously he is called the bad only. He will be like a machine in the hands of his impressions, and they will do evil. So finally, what you must understand, this man will be like a mission, a bad mission in the hands of those bad impressions. Okay, there is a movie, a mission was invented, and unfortunately that mission goes into the bad hands, and he tries to use the mission for the bad purposes. People, those who are getting bad thoughts and doing bad actions, they lose their consciousness. Okay, they cannot control themselves because they will be under the control of their bad impressions that they are getting. Similarly, if a man has good thoughts and if a man thinks always good and do good action and behave in such a way, obviously what will happen? The impressions that he gets to his mind stuff create to do good only every time. Though he wants to cause any harm to somebody, he cannot do because his impression, whatever that he gets, a good impression, that will never allow him to do any kind of bad. Because that kind of a great samskara is developed in him. Understood? So that's what actually he says here. So if samskara is developed in a person, that samskara will never let him to do any kind of bad. He'll never cause any harm to anybody. Because his heart, his mind will never accept to do any kind of mistakes or bad. They cannot cause any harm to anybody. That you must understand, my dear students. Okay, it is very, very important. Developing kind of a great samskara is very, very important. That must be happened from your childhood days onwards. A man without having good samskara, I feel that he is useless, waste. So, if it is the case, we can say very clearly, honestly, a man's great character is established because samskara, good samskara is developed in him. That good samskara is developed in him by continuous good thoughts and good actions and good things which are done by him. Because of doing all those good, his mind stuff got good impressions. So he is in the hands of good impressions. He'll never do any kind of harm, any kind of bad to anybody. So finally what he says here, one who do good works will be in the hands of good impressions. One who do bad works will be in the hands of bad impressions. So That's what he says here. Good and bad, both are actually bondages of the soul. Okay? The man who is doing continuously the good things and good actions, he is being in the hands of good impressions. He is not in the hands of himself, right? Similarly, the man who is doing bad actions every day and getting bad thoughts is in the hands of bad impressions. So, his soul also in the bondage of bad. That's why now he says here, good and bad both are bondages of the soul. If a man is able to do kind of work without expecting anything, okay, good or bad, so he'll never get any kind of bad impressions, even good impressions also. He will be in the hands of himself. Swami Vivekananda says very clearly how the unchangeable character is established. That is only possible with a kind of a mindset. In order to explain this, he took tortoise as an example. So if you try to understand the nature of the tortoise, whenever it finds any danger outside, immediately it tucks its head and as well as feet inside of its shell in order to protect from the danger. So you may touch it, you may try to poke it, and you may kill it and make it into pieces. Those feet and head, whichever were kept inside, will never come out. That is what the nature of the tortoise. Even character also. If anybody's character is developed with good tendencies and as well as with good samskara, that character will never be changed. That is unchangeable character. So here the man gets continuously good thoughts and good impressions because of doing good actions. And all of these let him to do good every time. Swami Vivekananda speaks about the freedom from the boundaries of good and freedom from the boundaries of evil. That is what actually man must try to get. He must get freedom from the boundaries of good and as well as bad. That's what he is expecting from everybody. What he says here, according to Swami Vivekananda, there are 3 states of minds. Now he is speaking about the 3rd state of mind. So according to him, what is the first state of mind that we already spoke in previous paragraphs? That is one of the state of minds that was about the bad. Because of doing continuously the bad actions, and the person may get bad impressions to his mind stuff, and that will create an effect and influence on the subconscious mind. Obviously, the person will go into the hands of the bad impressions. Though he tries to good, he cannot do any kind of good. Because his impressions always lead him to do worse every time. In such a way, there is another state of mind, which is nothing but the good state of mind. A person who is habituated to do good, he cannot do any kind of harm to anybody. Of course, these people are somewhat better, and these people are highly recommendable to work for any of the companies. But still, as he gets good impressions, that will create an effect and influence on the mind. So there will be a problem to him in future. Here our topic is coming out of the miseries and overcoming the miseries, right? So in that case, what should be happened here? First state of mind and second state of mind are not at all recommendable, because both of these create impressions and they take you under their control. But if you think about the 3rd state of mind that he speaks about, is really good, because it will give you freedom from your work, from the boundaries of good and as well as bad. None of the impressions of good and none of the impressions of bad will affect your mind. Let me continue reading from here. There is a thorn in my finger, and I use another to take the first one out. And when I have taken it out, I throw both of them outside. So what he says here, if any thorn inserted into your finger, in order to take it out, you must use another thorn. Yes or no? Once the first one is taken out, okay, what must be done? The second one, which helped you, also must be thrown out. So here you must use the second thorn to remove the first thorn out of your finger. So you should use the second one for that purpose only, thinking that the second one helped you a lot to take the first one out. If you keep it in your pocket, what will happen? It also damages you. If that to be not happen, what must be done by you? Both of these thorns must be thrown outside. So finally, when the first one is removed completely, you must throw it out. At the same time, the second thorn, which helped you a lot, take it out, must be also thrown outside. Okay, in such a way, the state of mind, okay, must be changed. The one who was habituated to do bad, he gets obviously the bad impressions to his mind stuff, and those bad impressions create influence and effect on his subconscious mind. Because of that, automatically he goes into the hands of the bad impressions. So what he must do, he must try to come out of from the hands of the bad impressions. In such a way, the bad tendencies are removed by the fresh waves of the good tendencies. Until the worst, whichever is there in a particular person, is removed, he must use the fresh waves of the good impressions, like the second one. Whenever he finds all the bad tendencies are completely removed, he also must try to remove the good tendencies which occupied the previous one. Thus the attached becomes unattached. In such a way only attached becomes unattached. What do you mean by attached here? He said a point taken from the Bhagavad Gita. Man must do work incessantly without having any attachment. So unattached, man must be completely unattached. Then only he'll be out of the hands of impression. Then only he'll be free from the bondages. Then only he'll never feel any kind of miseries in his life. That is what must be understood here. Work, but let not the action or thought produce deep impression on the mind. So whatever the work that you wanted to do. Let any kind of work be done by you. But you must understand one thing, no impression should create any effect on your mind and as well as your soul. That's what actually has been said by Swami Vivekananda here. Let the ripple comes and go, let huge actions produce from the muscles and the brain, but let them not make any deep impression on the soul. So let any kind of work be done. Let all the ripples come, let all the thoughts come, different thoughts may come to your mind. Okay? Let you do any kind of work. Finally, what you must do, you shouldn't let any kind of impression come to your mind, because if that happens, what will happen? They'll affect your subconscious mind. Obviously, unnoticingly, you'll be in the hands of those impressions. So you must understand this one. You shouldn't be in the hands of any kind of impressions, whether it is bad or good. You should always try to be out of those impressions. Swami Vivekananda said very clearly, let our mind get whatever the ripples that we get. Let our mind get whatever the kind of thoughts it gets, let it be done. And let our body physically can produce whatever the action that it can, let it be. But he says very clearly, the work whichever is done by us shouldn't be affected by any kind of impressions which are remained. That is what actually the meaning of unattached. If it is let to receive any kind of impressions, that will become attached. That you must understand. I may meet hundreds of persons during the day, and among them meet also one whom I love. Yeah, just take it as an example. If I meet hundreds of people on a specific day, and among those hundreds of people, there is a person whom I love very much. After when I return to my house, before I take sleep, I may try to remember everybody, those whom I met the particular day. Only one face which comes to my remembrance, only that face which I love and like very much comes to my mind, but not all the faces. Though I met the particular person for a few seconds or a minute, but that only comes to my mind. If we have an attachment with work, that attachment creates kind of impressions on your mind stuff, and that will affect your subconscious mind. Because of that only, your mind is completely disturbed. That shouldn't be happen as per the Swami Vivekananda. So finally, what he says here, whatever the impression that we get, whether it is good one or bad one, okay, all of those impressions are the same. Let me continue reading from here, the next paragraph. Therefore, be unattached. Let the brain centers work. Work incessantly, but let not the mind be affected. Work as if you were a stranger in this land. What has been said here? Because of that only, Swami Vivekananda says very clearly not to be attached with anything or any kind of particular work. He always emphasizes to be unattached. If we don't have an attachment with anything, so our mind wouldn't be affected by any kind of impressions, even our subconscious mind especially. That is the reason why he emphasizes very clearly to all the people, work incessantly, not to be attached, be unattached always. If it is happened, you will be under the bondage if you are attached with anything. So you must always try to come out of the bondage. That is only happen when you people are unattached. So finally, what is the gist of this teaching, the point that is needed to be learned. He wants everybody to work like master, but that work shouldn't be like a slave's work. It should be like a master's work. Now he is telling the importance of having a third state of mind, which is nothing but beyond the good and bad. Walk through freedom, walk through love. The word love is very difficult to understand. Love never comes until there is a freedom. So here, who will give you freedom? Who will give the people the freedom? Everybody should give freedom to their mind. So that is only possible when they have no attachment with anything. Okay, you must understand one thing: where there is a love, there is freedom. Where there is no freedom, there is no love. Okay, a work without love, and you don't like to do any kind of work, but you are doing the work for the benefit of something. So in that case, what will happen? Your mind can be influenced by the impressions, and unnoticingly you do kind of slavery work. A slave who had been bought by you was completely chained. Do you think that he can work properly? Definitely not. So he gives kind of a drudgery work. He wouldn't be happy at the same time, and the master who hired him also wouldn't get any kind of good results. Okay, so expecting something, they're working, which means they're in the boundaries of their impressions. So their impressions, whichever the impression that they get to their mind stuff, those impressions will lead them continuously. So he's completely out of his hands. He'll be in the hands of those impressions. Whether it is good or bad, that is secondary. A genuine work must be done for the relatives, and family members and the people. If the work is not genuine, if the work is selfish, that work cannot give any kind of happiness. And you must understand one thing: whatever the act that you do, that act, that action, that work will give the people happiness and satisfaction. But what shouldn't be done here? Work which is rendered by the people shouldn't expect any kind of result of the work. That you must understand. The real existence, real knowledge, and real love. He says very clearly, these three are eternally connected, permanently connected. There won't be two without one. It means what? These three never be separated, or never be existed without a second. Okay? Here the second is nothing but the time that he is speaking about. Okay? If real existence is found, which means the real knowledge, both are there in it. There is no love, you must understand the existence that we are speaking about is not real. If there is no knowledge, the real love that we are speaking about is not true and real. So all of these three are eternally connected. They'll never be separated. So Swami Vivekananda is very clear about his words. What he says here, the Lord is completely unattached. Because of he being unattached, he is able to do his work appropriately. If he is attached, nothing can be done by him appropriately. If he wants, he also can take rest. But he doesn't want to take rest. Why? Because he knows the importance of the work. Okay, so knowingly everything about the importance of the work, so work must be done, and at the same time that work must be done without expecting any kind of results. Thinking the God expecting results, if he does his work, so definitely his work would be selfish work. So finally what he says here, real love makes us unattached. So here God has the love upon his people. That is the real love. This real love always makes the people to be unattached. If you feel that you have a great love upon your people, upon the things and upon the work that you do, you must understand something very clearly. You are not attached. If you are attached, you must understand one more thing. Your love upon the people, on the work that you do, is not proper, is not the real. So in order to reach this unattachment, it may take a complete life, because it is not that much easy to be completely unattached. So it is a lifetime process. If one is really unattached, it is really awesome, and he must think that he attained to a great success in his life. He will be free from the bondages. None of the pressure he feels, none of the pressure he can give to his mind. No impressions affect his subconscious mind. So because of doing that, what would happen? The boundaries that we are actually there in, will go away from us. We will be completely unattached. Okay? No pressure to your mind, no pressure on your soul. Your mind, your soul completely free now. Yeah, let me continue reading from here. Do you ask anything from your children in return for what you have given them? It is your duty to work for them, and there the matter ends. These are 2 lines for the parents. But let me ask you one question. Have you been ever asked by your parent for the work which is rendered by them? No, right? None of the children are asked by their parents, because the parents have a great love upon their children, and that love is completely unattached. Their love is completely genuine, and their works are completely unattached. You must understand one thing. You must feel that you are in a great position as a giver. So now you are a giver. You are in a position to give everything to the people. Whatever is given by you to the people is completely a free offering, because you won't expect anything from the work that you do for the people. As you don't have any kind of thought, like getting a kind of return for the work that you do, which means you are completely not attached with anything. So the work which is rendered to the people, that work is completely unattached. If one works like a slave, the result you'll get is completely attachment. So he'll be in the hands of good impressions or bad impressions if one works like a slave. Okay? We often talk of right and justice, but we find that in the world, right and justice are mere baby stock. So here, baby stock is nothing but useless words. So people upon the earth always speak about the right and as well justice. But later, gradually what happened, these 2 words have become the useless words upon the earth, because none of these words have been given priority. There are 2 things which guide the conduct of men, might and mercy. But what are the words are actually existed in the minds of the people continuously? Might and mercy. And these are 2 words which guide the conduct of the people. Apart from these 2, and we have already discussed, right and justice are completely have become mere baby stock, have become useless in the world. But what are the words are completely in the usage and be practiced by the people? Those are nothing but might and mercy. So these 2 we can find upon the earth. So might always describes strength. Mercy always describes kindness. Mercy is nothing but a heaven. Might is nothing but strength, which always leads to the people to show off themselves. They expect kind of appreciations for the work which is rendered by them and for the action that they do. Okay, so they will be obviously in the hands of good impressions, which is nothing but the bondage. Yeah, what the particular person must do, they must try to come out of the bondage. Then his mind will be free completely. He'll never be in the hands of any kind of good impressions. That must be understood. But here, unfortunately, the people upon the earth always try to show off themselves. They always try to show their power. Men and women both are. Okay, they want to show their power. They want to show their talents. They want to show everything. So without having attachment, they can show everything whatever they want. But keeping an attachment, expecting something as a result for the work which is rendered by them, is not good. That's what he says here. He's not asking everybody to not to show off themselves, not to strengthen their talents and all. But there shouldn't be any attachment with the work. We spoke about mercy and justice. Mercy and justice were actually not existed upon the earth. That's what actually we felt. We have become completely useless words. Let me continue reading from here. Mercy is heaven itself. To be good, we have all to be merciful. Even justice and right should be stand on mercy. Now, Swami Vivekananda speaks about the mercy and the importance of mercy. This also we can find upon the earth. Yes or no? So what happens here? He says very clearly the justice and as well as the right that we spoke about, which have become useless words. Those words also are stand on this mercy. That's why he says very clearly, mercy is nothing but heaven. Let me continue reading from here. All thought of obtaining return for the work we do hinders our spiritual progress. So, when people expect something as a result for the work which is rendered by them, that will lead them to be completely attached, and that attachment always makes the people to lower down the spiritual qualities in them. According to Swami Vivekananda, there is another way to put these two into practice. What are those? Justice and as well as the right can be put into the practice. Further, there is a way. The way is nothing but giving importance to the God. Okay, work is done by the people, but none of the results are expected by the people. They give all the fruits of the work to the Lord. That is what. So they treat work as the worship. That is what another way according to Swami Vivekananda. Let me continue reading from here. The Lord himself works incessantly and is ever without attachment. Just as water cannot wet the lotus leaf, so work cannot bind the unselfish man by giving rise to attachment to results. The selfless and unattached man may live in the very heart of a crowded and sinful city. He will rarely be touched by sin. So here, Swami Vivekananda says very clearly, the work which is done by the Lord. Here, the Lord does his work without having any attachment. He does his work constantly without having any attachment. That has been taught to you, taking an example of lotus and water. So here, the water tries to wet the lotus, but due to the lotus having its no binding effect with the water's attempts are always be failed. So in such a way, the man's nature must be. Man should develop a kind of a great nature. The work which is done by a particular man will never be affected by any kind of influence. In such a way, the man's nature must be developed, so that he will be completely unattached and he will raise from the attached to results. So he won't expect any kind of results for the work which is done by a particular man. Okay? So when the problems are occurred, when the expectations are raised, if there are no expectations, there won't be any problem at all. So that there won't be any miseries. No one feels any miseries. That is what he said very clearly, even from the first paragraph. The solution has been given to cure the miseries upon the earth. That's what he said. Finally, what he says here, the selfless and as well as unattached man may always live in the every heart of the person. So everybody likes them. Everybody likes such kind of people. When it comes to these people, no boundaries, no differences. They are called the world citizens. And we take some of the people like Abdul Kalam. Now he is the citizen of all. Everybody likes him a lot. So such kind of a great character is established in everybody. That is what Swami Vivekananda expects from everybody. So these people will never be touched by, will never be influenced by any kind of sin upon the earth. If you feel any difficulty to understand this, I request you everybody to go through this video once again and try to listen. Thank you very much. With this, we'll end this topic. Thank you very much. Have a good day.